Science fiction in China, at least in the 20th century, is really a foreign import. China has its own tradition of fantasy fiction, but this group of writers that we're looking at now actually grew up on American science fiction. Not quite counting Liu Cixin three-body problem because he's an earlier generation who grew up during the Cultural Revolution, but the way that science fiction has developed in China since his great success with his trilogy is really the younger writers who are the one-child generation. They grew up reading American science fiction on the golden age. Now, in terms of what it says about China now and why is science fiction so popular, that has not always been the case. Science fiction actually went through several waves, several points of ups and downs in the course of 20th century. It was banned on several occasions in the late 70s and early 80s under the rubric of spiritual pollution from the West. So it's really kind of a renegade genre that now just happens to have its spotlight because of China's drive for science and technology, which has been going on since the 50s, but now taken to new heights. That said, the most important thing for sci-fi writers is still having the room to create and to think freely without necessarily holding too closely to the state vision for science technology. But so far, so good. There seems to be a mutually beneficial relationship. One change in recent times is last August, the Chinese government put out 10 guidelines for science fiction industry. And this was quite impactful because obviously, if anything else, it confirms the fact that Chinese science fiction has caught the state's attention. But what they're interested in fostering is not just fiction per se, but the entire genre as an industry, replete with movie scripts, different forms of IP, gaming, but the big focus in these 10 guidelines is actually film industry, including training writers, screenplays, the whole mechanism of converting fiction into film, so on and so forth. We're actually at a very exciting period where we're not sure what's going to happen to Chinese science fiction in the next several years. Hopefully, our writers will just simply have the time they need to write and to create.